Live from the Carmelo Center, Orange Appeel Network, Roosevelt, Bouie, Dale Shackelford, a recap of this past season, what we expected at the beginning of the season, going through to what transpired throughout the season, and looking forward to incoming freshmen and what the season should be like for 2019-2020. Roosevelt, coming into the season, Syracuse had high expectations. We had 5 starters coming back from last year. What do you think that we as fans expected from Syracuse this past year?
Well, as a fan, last year they were really short-handed, and we were able to get more players this year. So we're thinking, hey, if you did it last year with 6 guys, if you got 10 or 12 guys this year, you should be able to automatically jump into the season and just run through it like gangbusters. That's what we expected as fans, but as players, you and I both know that the technical parts are a little bit different than that. So when we got started, the team comes out there, they're ready to play, and you have people missing. When you see that you have people missing, what a lot of us didn't realize at the time, but what we know as players, every time you add a new player to the situation, it changes the chemistry of that situation. It postpones that team being able to find its happy place where they're all comfortable playing. So in theory, we're hoping for them to do a lot of great things. That I remember someone had sent to me like, these guys are going to be fantastic. They just play like they did last year. Adds more people to it. Fantastic. It just didn't work like that.
Well, let's see. We had Frank Howard, Tyus Battle, O'Shea Brissett, Pascal Chukwu, Merrick Dolezaj. That was our starting 5 from last season that came back into this season.
Yeah.
Then we made a change. We substituted Merrick Dolezaj for Elijah Hughes. And as you said, the chemistry changes for the team when you insert that different person into the chemistry that you had for a year.
Yeah.
I think it changed it in a way to where Syracuse was more offensively minded with Elijah Hughes in there, because Dolezaj doesn't look to take a lot of shots.
Right.
But you took away from a great passer, you took away from a good rebounder,
Yep.
and you took a lot of the hustle out of the game from the beginning of the game, as opposed to having it during the middle of the game.
Well, the thing that I also noticed about that a lot of people making a mistake. Someone said, Merrick Dolezaj had such a great start last year, so coming back this year, he should be able to do the same thing. The only problem is he grew 2 inches, and he's no longer seen as a forward. He's seen as kind of a backup center forward. So basically, you're taken out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is playing against guys that you're taller than and more or less around your weight, to being put in there with guys that are 230, 220, 230, 240. And he's a little light, but he's got a lot of heart. But it's one thing to be out there passing the ball, moving freely, and then all of a sudden you're down underneath the basket, getting pounded. It's what's that Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
It changes things.
We saw these guys during the year, last year, and I think that we expected a lot. Because last year we had a great run.
Yep.
We had, like I said, we had all 5 starters coming back to this year's team. And, just that little change and just little changes physically for players, changes mentally for players.
Right.
Tyus left to try the NBA waters. Okay, then he came back. Okay. Elijah Hughes came into the picture. Dolezaj went to the bench. Now you've got some freshmen coming into the program that is going to change the chemistry also, depending on when they're inserted into the ballgame.
And you remember when we started playing that for those first few days when you come back after season, that's when everybody's jockeying for position, everybody's jockeying for playing time, everybody's testing everybody else, and that's when you kind of find out what plan coach has for you, and it's where he sees you playing. it might not be where you had in your mind playing. You know, Merrick might have came back thinking, oh boy, I'm 2 inches taller, and now I'm going to be playing from the top of the zone. I'll be able to see over guys. I'll be able to take advantage of that, and all of a sudden, you're back to the basket, pounding with guys.
Well, your thinking is going to be totally different than the coach is thinking.
Exactly.
He sees it one way, and guess what? That's the only way it's going to be. It's the way the coach feels. And I'm a firm believer that I think every player comes back understanding that they're going to be challenged by the new guys that are coming in and the guys that are on the bench behind them. So mentally, we're going to prepare ourselves for that. Physically, we've got to be able to prepare ourselves for that also, because the game is changing all the time. And if you're not on your game, if you're not ready to play all the time, the coach has got different ideas on how he wants to run his team.
The funny thing you say that about, you're going to be challenged all the time. Remember Red Bruin, Ron Payton, and there's Red Bruin, Ron Payton, and Ed Gooding was here for a year. Every day when I came to practice and I was tying my shoes up, before I finished, when I would look up, there'd be Ron Payton, Red Bruin, and Ed Gooding, and they'd be standing there like the Three Stooges with their arms around one another saying, Rosie, one of us is going to dunk on you today. And I was like, that means one of you is going to the hospital. Exactly. So I never even got a chance to get into the locker room, to get into on the court, to get into my frame of mind for practicing, because while I was tying my shoes up, before I could look up and stand up, the 3 freshmen were standing there saying, one of us is going to dunk on you today. Well, Red Bruin had a 40-plus inch vertical. Ron Payton was no slouch, left-handed, big and strong. Ed Gooding, 6'9", and that's all they wanted to do was go home at night saying, Rosie, we dunked on Rosie today.
Yeah, but what are you going to do during the game? Rosie might not be there during the game, so you got somebody that's different, something that you need to prepare yourself to. Let's, like I said, we had high hopes for this season.
Yep.
Unfortunately, a few things transpired during the season. We had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Washington goes down. Howard goes down. Later in the season, we had battle with the back injury.
Yeah.
That really affects the team a lot because the chemistry was there, and then you use key components in that. How do you regroup?
Well, the funny thing is, as we were sitting there during the year watching it and talking about it, we're saying they're building a chemistry, the chemistry's coming, the chemistry's getting together. But the one thing that I always had in the back of my mind is, the chemistry is building. All of a sudden you got Tyus Battle, who is now moved over playing point guard, and it's a learning. You got to try to learn. So after Tyus Battle got started, he got started there, and it was a tough way to go. He hung in there. He did very well. He started learning how to play that position. I think it added another thing to his repertoire, realistically. But while he was learning how to do it, oh boy, he was struggling for a while. But as the kind of guy he is, he hung in there. He kept working, and he did quite well from the point guard position. When he went back to the other position, he had another bag in his tricks, another trick in his bag. So, but the other thing that I was always aware of was, after everything that was going on, we still didn't have Frank Howard on the court. You still didn't have your playmaker on the court. The chemistry of the game revolves around what the playmaker does. So Frank Howard comes back, and when a player's not playing with the rest of the team, his mind is going as fast as the rest of the team. But when you get out on the court, your legs can't do what your mind sees. So then there's going to be a level of frustration there too. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, Dale.
Well, we're going to go back to Tyus Battle. Tyus was inserted into the point guard position. It took him maybe a game and a half in order to realize that, okay, I've got to run this team. I've got to run this offense. When Frank Howard came back, that mentality is going to click off and go back to where I got to be that scoring machine as I was last year. And I think it took him a little time to get back to that situation because in his mind, he wasn't quite sure if I'm going to be the point guard or am I going to play the two. But and that's part of the game. That's part of understanding the game. That's part of knowing the game. And that's part of knowing your teammates.
Exactly.
And he changed a bit.
Yeah.
But, early in the season, in the middle part of the season, as a team, as a whole, as a fan watching, we wanted the old ties battle to go out there and try to dominate every situation during the game, regardless of who was on the floor, regardless of who we had. I understand you had Elijah Hughes. I understand you had O'Shea Brissett. Those guys are good scorers. Howard came back. Howard's got to get himself into shape, get himself into game shape in order to run and play with the other guys on the team.
Yeah, the strangest thing that someone asked me, what's the biggest change from high school to college to being a professional player? And the one thing that jumped out in my mind was, it's learning how to play tired. Because you're going to be tired all the time. It still sticks in my mind what Coach Boeheim said to us before our first game his first year. He said, don't worry about the minutes that you're going to get, because there's enough playing time for everybody. Because if you can play more than 3 minutes at a time, then you're not playing with the intensity that I want. So that's what I always kept in the back of my mind. So to keep the intensity level high, and you just have to be focused and understand that you got to go out and make it happen immediately once you hit the court.
Well, and with the injuries that Syracuse had last year, everybody talks about next man up, next man up. It's not about next man up, because you might be next in that rotation, but if you're not producing, guess what? You're going to go backwards in that rotation.
Yeah.
So guys have got to understand that any chance you get to get on that floor, you've got to be mentally ready 100%. Physically ready 100%. It's not about who was there or what this guy did before me. It's what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
And I think, some guys, got a little nervous, and some guys may not have gotten that opportunity, but guess what? You work hard during practice, you work hard during the off season, and you say, next time I get that opportunity, I'm going to make sure that I'm able to stay on the floor.
The one thing that I've always felt is the truth is, here at Syracuse, Coach Boeheim doesn't create all-stars. He creates opportunities for you to step in and do what you're capable of doing. So he's not going to make you an all-star, but if there's a chance you come in off the bench, the team needs you, you give him exactly what he wants, then all of a sudden, next time there's a tough situation, who's the first person he's going to look to?
Well, if you look down the bench, and I'm on the bench, I'm going to be waving to him like this, like, yes, I'm ready to put me back in, coach. I don't want to sit here. And that's what guys have got to do. Let the coach know that you want to play. Don't sit there mad because you're not in the game.
Yeah.
Every time he looks down that bench, I'm going to be the first one he sees. I'm going to peek around everybody and wave my hand, or I'm going to stand up and let them know I'm ready. Whatever you need, I want to get out there and play.
It's funny you say that guys sit on the bench. I had a young man tell me, he says, listen, I don't spend any time on the bench. It was Sugar Ray Richardson. So we're at the All-Star game in Bologna. Coach takes him out and puts him on the bench. He sits right next to the coach, and every time the coach turned his head, he stood up like he's going to go in the game. And finally, the coach finally said, Sugar, get back in the game. Because he was right there. Every time he looked that direction, he almost jumped, like he was like, go, he jump off the floor, he jump off the chair and run in. If that's what the coach sees, and when you hit that floor, you got to know what's going on. Don't go out there and not know what's going on. That's why you got to pay attention to the game too.
That's right, and let's get into a little bit about the big men that we had coming into the season. Pascal Chukwu,
Yeah.
Sabive, and unfortunately, Doge got regressed into a center position for a lot of the season. With those three guys, we got production in different situations out of all three of them.
Yeah.
We needed probably a situation where they were more involved in the offense.
Yes.
I don't think that the offense really came as much to the center position, but I think that those guys did well. I think those guys gave 100% effort. Later on in the season, every one of those guys were looking to score, looking to make strong moves around the basket, looking to rebound more,
Yeah.
which that's what we need. That's what they need to do. I think, too late, but they started realizing that we're gonna get minutes and we're gonna split minutes between the three of us. No matter how many minutes I get, I've got to be ready to play and I've got to play hard.
That's the one thing that I like about if you have guys that are playing together and they're teammates. What you actually want is the production from that position. So if these are your teammates and you're my friend and we're playing on the same team, if you get out there and you get minutes and you score, I'm happy for you, because the most important thing is Syracuse University. It's not about me, it's about us going out there and getting the job done. So them being able to communicate and talk about, hey guys, if they could have got 10 points and 10 rebounds out of 3 players, that's all this team needed from them.
Well, 10 points, 3 rebounds, or 10 rebounds and 3 points and 15 fouls.
Exactly.
You got to understand, you got 15 fouls. If you got to beat them up a little bit, you got to beat them up a little bit. But, those 3 guys, I think, as the season progressed, they got a little more out of all 3 of them. We just needed to get a collective effort from all 3 of them. Not that they weren't putting the effort forth, it just wasn't shown in the stat columns and in the production of the games.
Well, the thing that I saw about those 3 guys is, regardless of what happened on the floor, there would be a moment during the game when each one of those players that were on the floor needed to step up and fill in and do what they do. Those 5 or 6 points might be exactly what's needed when there's a drought. While the rest of your teammates are catching their breath. The offensive rebound, a charge, a block shot, those things, absolutely. I remember seeing Pascal came in off the bench, and he comes in off the floor, he blocks 2 shots, gets a rebound, puts it back, and then there was a turnover, and going back the other way, it was a 3-on-1 turnover, and he turned around, ran back, and blocked the shot from behind, and it was a game changer. Those kind of plays are worth their weight in gold, because they let your team know, hey, we're never out of it. Stay focused, and we can get back in the game. Those plays were needed from everybody that was out on the floor.
No, it was a great effort. I mean, you can't take anything away from the ability that they have. I think that they used it to their strength, and hopefully with Doge, CB coming back, these guys will learn from what transpired this season, go out in the off season, work a little bit harder, get yourselves a little bit better, get yourselves healthy to where you can hopefully stay healthy. Injuries happen. We've seen a number of those this year with this team. We also had 3 freshmen come in this year. Buddy Boeheim, Carey, and Braswell.
Yes.
All 3 guys were good additions to the team.
Yep.
Some play a little more than others. Some has to understand that, yes, I do have to wait a little bit of time, but when I do get that time, it's got to be productive within the confines of the program, not trying to make an individual effort out of myself in order to get that playing time.
I was sitting there just thinking, imagine if they had those 3 players last year. When it's all about timing. Had they been on the team last year, all of them would have got major minutes. But this year, he had players back, he had players stepping up to play. It was about being ready to go in there. And talk about first Buddy Boeheim. First time I saw him, I just kind of walked into the gym and I was watching the practice, and I didn't really know. I watched Tyus Battle just draining everything. It was a workout. And on the other team, there's this little kid that knocking down everything. So after it finished, I was like, who is that? They're like, that's Buddy Boeheim. And I remember thinking, like 3 or 4 years earlier, he was like 5'5". And I remember going out fishing with Coach Boeheim, and Coach Boeheim got there late. I'm like, Coach, come on. He's like, hey. My son got up and said he didn't have a ride to go to his 6 o'clock workout. Hey, I took him to the workout. So back then, you got a gym rat born. So he said, anytime your son asks you for a workout at 6 o'clock in the morning, you take him. I was like, okay.
Well, he proved that, being around a great mind as a coach, and Coach Boeheim, being around this program, being able to have access to a facility like the Carmelo Center, probably being able to have a little full court basketball court built at your house. Those things help, and I think he is the type of player that, as you said, Jim Red, he loves the game. He comes out and gives 100% effort to his ability. He's not the quickest person in the world. He's not the highest jumping person in the world, but you give him an inch, he'll drain the jump shot on you. And he hustles defensively. He plays hard all the time, and you're going to get 100% effort out of him all the time. It may not look that way to you, but to him and to anybody that knows anything about basketball, you can see that in him.
I remember seeing when he got at the time, Frank Howard was frustrated. Coach takes him out, and I was frustrated because Frank was on the top of the zone, and every time the ball would swing, he would turn around, he'd run into the back of the big man on the high post. And when that happens, everybody had to switch the rotation up, which left the big man always having to hustle out to the corner and not getting there in time. And the problem wasn't caused by the big man; it was caused by Frank kept running into the back of this pick. And I was like, oh, so I just looked at it, and about 2 seconds later, Coach puts Buddy in, and it was amazing. Buddy ran to where the pick was, put his hand out, stepped over it, and the Syracuse rotation was where it was supposed to be. That jump shot is no longer open in the corner. So he does things that are amazing.
Well, that comes from being a coach's son and paying attention to what's going on the court, not looking in the stands at your friends and around to see who's in the audience. And that's what you need out of all the players. Jalen Carey, very good player, very quick player, needs to understand how to harness that energy in the course of a game. Communicate with your teammates. Be the Allen Iverson. Make the guys run with you. Tell them, let them know you'll be rewarded. You got to get up and down the floor with me.
Yeah.
But also, you've got to understand when to speed it up, when to slow it down, when you need to control that half-court situation.
Yeah, Jalen is. I mean, he's got turbochargers. He's got boosters. But he reminds me of a guy that I played with. Got to the basket too fast. Jimmy Williams. Hey, he can get to the basket so fast, but he got there so fast that a lot of times the ball would roll off. So in my mind, when I saw Jimmy on the fast break, I would pull guys down, step on their feet, pull the shorts down just to get past them, so I get a chance to tip it in. That's called knowing the players that you have on the floor. If you know the players that are on the floor, what their characteristics are, you play off their characteristics. There was nobody that did it better than Lewis. Lewis, I can't remember the number of times I used to get a double team, and the third guy looking at me, I'd catch the ball, I'd make a good shot, it'd roll off, and Lewis would catch it and put it back in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so, and I would totally miss it at the end of the game. Lewis Orr, 19 points, 19 rebounds. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss?
Yeah. You missed all those shots. That's why you got the rebound. Yeah. Braswell, tough situation.
Yeah.
You're in that small forward range, maybe 2 guard range. You got 5 guys in front of you.
Yeah.
You got to work your way into getting that playing time, working hard to make yourself a better player, so that the next season you can earn that playing time. The times that he got into ball games, he played well.
Yep.
He's got an offensive mind. He's gonna look to score every time he can, but he rebounds well.
Yep.
He runs the court well. He's got a lot of upsides. He's got a lot of positive things, and a player like that, just don't get yourself discouraged about the playing time as a freshman. You know what's expected for the next season. You know what's there from the season before. You know what's coming in the next season.
Yeah.
If you got to get out, prepare yourself, make yourself better, get yourself up into the rotation or even into the starting lineup.
The thing that I really, really like about him is Mr. Braswell, when he gets on the floor, you know you're going to get 110%. And I don't care if he comes in with 30 seconds left in the game, he is, when he steps on the floor, he is offensive minded. But he'll get back, he'll rebound, he'll push the ball out, he'll run the floor. he'll run the floor, and he expects to get the ball when he in a position where he can score. That's the mentality you have to have. That's what I really like about him is if needed, and they had time to work with him, he could have made things happen this year. But you know, he was down the rotation. He needed the time. I tell you what, his confidence level, you could see him if you ever watched him in practice. He's like a sponge. He's learning day in and day out, and I really like him. He reminds us of my friend that used to call Tudor Turtle, Louis Orr.
Touche turtle. Yeah, but high expectations this year. Great core of guys that came back this year. Unfortunately, we had a lot of injuries at bad times of the year. We had 3 freshmen come in this year and a transfer that was a great addition to the program. First half of our program. And then we'll get into a little bit on what we see as the season had progressed and the way we finished and what we can look forward to for the next season.